This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are ready to rock and roll. How you feeling, Ira? Good morning, sir.
Good. There's a lot of anger out there in Heat Nation, isn't there, this morning as free agency plays out, Big O?
No, I actually, in a twisted way, I'm not going to be a phony. I told you this already. It's headed to where I want it to go. You need to reset. You need to develop a young core. Khalil Ware, I thought I was going to, have a reason to watch the G League a little bit more this year. No, that kid will be on the active roster now, especially after losing a couple guys. Plus, he's got a skill set that you can see you can actually work with. He just needs to hit the weight room. Obviously, that's the one thing he's going to need, But outside of that, I mean, I like what I see from him. So I am headed more to I don't want you to go get DeMar DeRozan. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. Another 2-point player in a 3-point world. What the fuck are we doing here, bro?
Don't curse.
And then let's get to Caleb Martin, because I think, like man A-Rod, who I love, and by the way, A-Rod, I think you're the one that purchased the hat last night because I saw it on my thing. So thank you very much on the merch department. Thank you for purchasing a hat.
How come I don't get a hat? But continue.
I haven't seen you yet. Which one you want a white or a black Big O Show hat? Which one do you want?
I think black. Black when I work out. It's better for my complexion.
Okay, so we'll get you a black one the next time, or send me the. You know what? I'll send it to your address. I have. You know what? I have your address. So yeah, I'll send it to your address. Anyway, so I look at this whole Caleb Martin situation, right? And there's no doubt that the agent screwed up and mismanaged it all. But do you know what I'm thinking of right now, Ira? And again, that's because we go a little deeper. We're real here. We're real Heat fans, and I really follow the team. I'm thinking Anthony Carter here, bro, and his agent.
Oh, I told my wife that. I told my wife that when it happened. I said, I almost feel bad because I had broken down immediately when it happened what the offer was, what he could have gotten. Months ago, I wrote how it would play out. And I went to my wife the other day and I said, Cher, I think I cost Anthony Carter about $30 million, and I might have cost Caleb Martin just about the same. So yeah, it's very similar 2 decades later.
It's agents helping the Heat from doing something stupid. Because this is the way you need to look at it out there, Heat Nation. The Heat were willing to pay Caleb Martin what nobody in the NBA was willing to do.
Exactly.
No matter how much you like Caleb Martin, the bottom line is the Heat did a shit job of negotiations. They were ready to bend over backwards and give him the money that nobody in the NBA was giving him.
$5 million over 5 years. Yeah.
So how much is that an indictment? Just like the whole Anthony Carter thing. For those of you, you know what? I mentioned it, and we have young people that have no idea.
Those of you who weren't born yet at the time, exactly.
Right. Please explain the Anthony Carter situation, how a bad move by an agent ends up helping the Heat because they had a bad move in place. Please explain.
This was about 2 decades ago. Anthony Carter had an opt-in. He had to let the Heat know the final year of his contract. I think it was around $6 million or so, which in today's dollars is about $15 million because of the way the NBA has grown. He had to let the league know by the end of June that he was opting into his contract, which he thought he was. However, it had to go through the agent. All of a sudden, I am sitting there on July 1st, right after midnight, scrolling through the NBA available free agents, and I notice Anthony Carter is on the free agent list. And I'm like, wait a minute. AC told me he was opting in. I called his agent, Bill Duffy. He was at his son's baseball game the following day. I said, Anthony's a free agent? And there was such a pause there. And ensuing days, it came out that he tried to fax. The fax machine didn't work. He faxed after the fact. His associate, his secretary, was ill and didn't do it. And this is when Pat Riley showed that he could be a cold-hearted MFer, literally the character Michael Douglas portrayed in the movie Wall Street, because it's business. So all of a sudden, the Heat had no salary cap space that summer, but then they did. They went out and they offered a bomb of an offer sheet to the Clippers for Elton Brand. Clippers matched it. but it was part of a strategy. Well, now if you match this, we're going to bomb you in an offer sheet for Lamar Odom. And all of a sudden the Clippers were, oh, damn, we just matched this Elton Brand offer sheet. We can't match another one. Didn't
cheap
match.
owner. Cheap owner in those days, too.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. That was the Donald Sterling, and El Civiano and all that stuff. Okay. So the Clippers don't match. The Heat get Lamar Odom, who 1 year later they flip for Shaquille O'Neal, and history has never been the same in Miami Heat land. Similar to this time, the Heat had a deadline. The only way they could make their move for Caleb Martin work and stay under the second apron of the luxury tax was Martin opts back into his $7.1 million salary for 24-25 the coming season, with very significant raises going forward, pushing the can down the road with the thought there's a good chance Jimmy Butler would be moved or opted out and their salary situation would be better. The agent for Caleb Martin said, don't be giving us a deadline. There's more money out on the market. We'll take care of ourselves. And he said, look, this is not a threat. We love Caleb. This is a take it or leave it now because it only works now. The Heat could not do the same deal after June 30th. Martin's people thought they could do better. They didn't. As I go through all the numbers, the number I'm coming up with now is about $35 million over 4 years with $5 million in unlikely bonuses. So we're really talking about 8.5 per year instead of the 13 the Heat offered. And I hate to be long-winded, but Big O is sometimes, so I will be. But this is where I agree with Big O.
This is where
you have to draw a line, Big O, on the level of who a player is. Last summer, they got an offer sheet. Well, they got an offer for Max Strus, about $17 million a year. And after all the Duncan Robinsons and other deals, they said, look, we love supporting players. We love developmental players. But at a certain line, you have to walk and say, God bless you and good luck. They did that with Max Strus. They had to do the same thing with Caleb Martin, where they said, hey, this is the line we're drawing, $13 million, which is probably, like you think, maybe too much because God bless supporting players. The Caleb Martins, the Gabe Vincents, the Max Struses, the Haywood Highsmith. This is a league of stars. When you win a championship, you win because of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You win because of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. You win with your stars. So you might, Big O, will get to this, disagree with the Bam Adebayo extension, but you win with your stars. You give the money at the top and everyone else falls in line. As soon as this was over, I spoke to an agent. I go, what are they going to do now? And the agent told me they're going to do whatever they do. They'll find the next guy in the pipeline. They'll develop the next guy as a 3-and-D player. On that level, they'll be fine. He said the Heat's concern is not the 8th and 9th man. The Heat's concern right now is the 1, 2, 3, and that's where this concern should be. So, yes, it's like Anthony Carter, but it's also like last year when Gabe Vincent and Max Strus walked. You cannot overpay in today's NBA climate for supporting players.
But it shows you that the Heat front office is not really with its fastball because it can't even measure its own players. And sometimes they were willing to pay him when nobody was willing to pay.
And you know what, Big O? I would phrase it this way. You know what the Heat have, Big O? The Heat still have their loyalty softball, which is the wrong softball. Look at what they've done this offseason. They've offered to reward Caleb Martin with too much money. They gave Kevin Love at 36 next season, 2 years at $4 million, when they have the youth of Bam and even Thomas Bryant and Khalil Ware in the pipeline. This team's loyalty is something, look, you've been through 19 radio stations. You know, in your business and my business, there's no loyalty. There's something to be said for loyalty as a human being in a corporation. God bless the Heat. They probably will get voted one of the top businesses to work for every year for what they do for their players. But loyalty can get you in trouble. And I think the Heat were a little too loyal to Caleb Martin and found an out clause. I still believe, and I love Kevin Love as a person, but I think they were too loyal to him at $8 million over 2 years on the pay scale for what he does. So
I just think they're so desperate at this point.
I think they're too loyal.
They didn't have a better option because
they did.
Really?
Paul Reed is available now. Paul Reed is a mega rebounder, a defensive active player. You can be patient also. The Heat are loyal. They paid Udonis Haslem for 5 seasons when he did not show up for work. Even a guy like Orlando Alzugaray, nice a guy has admitted over the years, he's not paying Sean Stanley if he doesn't show up for work and doesn't put in a day's pay. That's the difference. The Heat did it for Udonis Haslem. They realized their mistake with Dwayne Wade, and I think ever since then, they've gone the other way. They gave Gabe Vincent a very good offer last year at 4 at 34. He took 3 at 33 for the Lakers, but there was a competitive offer. That's the difference. They value loyalty. Maybe in the end it pays off for them, but it seems like right now the loyalty fastball is there, but not necessarily the best possible talent fastball.
All right, so then this leads me to the next question is what's going on with the whole Jimmy Butler situation? Because now Philadelphia's made all their moves, so they're completely done. The Golden State Warriors did lose some talent. The Clippers are in their situation. Is there any shot at moving Jimmy, or is it what you feel is going to happen is if it's going to happen, it's going to happen at the trading deadline
Or before.
not this?
Yeah. I think the Jimmy Butler, again, can has been sort of kicked down the road. They'll handle it later, but it was very interesting. Sunday was an important day. Sunday was the first day that Jimmy Butler was eligible for that 2-year, I believe, about $115 million extension. Crickets. Big O, you remember how it first started when Bernie Lee, the agent, spoke right after Pat Riley spoke and basically made it known on, excuse me, let me snap better. I'm not good snapping today. On July 7th, that 12:01 p.m., that Jimmy was going to go in and expect his extension. What happened yesterday? Nothing. Look, you might think Pat Riley has lost his softball, but when Pat Riley messages, the fastball is still there. It's still in place. And we saw that when he told Jimmy, don't call me on July 7th. Don't call me at 12:01 a.m. You're not going to get the answer you want. And I think Jimmy Butler and his representation realized that. So Jimmy Butler is going to go on and have an FU season this year. If he is great, he will opt out. He will get his money. We're seeing that this year. Older players like a Paul George still get paid if they have their fastball. So I think that's going to be Jimmy's season. The only concern I have is this. I think Jimmy will play the requisite 65 games to get all NBA and be eligible for all the other awards. But I think, and I'm concerned, is Jimmy going to be playing for himself? For this reason, Big O. If he opts out, what sells him in free agency? Big numbers, points, field goal percentage, rebounds, mostly on the offensive end. Will he coast on the defensive end? Because that just doesn't get you paid. So maybe
it'll be on film.
It'll be on film, but a 25-point per game scoring average still gets the big bucks. So I just wonder, how is Jimmy going to play this FU season out? Will it be more for self, or will it continue to be for team? It's going to be an interesting story as we go through the season on our Accurate Pembroke Pines reports.
I give national people some credit because sometimes I don't, because they don't really follow, every team every day, and they really, but some people have noticed that even on games that Jimmy does play, he coasts, and they've noticed that. You know what I mean? Because
I've noticed it, because if you read my tweets and my blogs, I'm saying, what the hell is Jimmy doing in the first half? Jimmy coasts through the first half. Look, here's what Jimmy has been all about: energy management the last 2 or 3 years. This team can't afford it. If you have a big three, if you have great depth, if you have Tyler playing like he's sixth man of the year, you can't afford it. So the point from Jimmy is management has failed me with the supporting cast that I can't exhale, so I have to pick and choose. You know what, Big O? There's something to be said for that also.
There's some truth to that. Listen, I'm the guy that said that the Jimmy Butler move will not be a successful one if you cannot get another star next to him, and they've never been able to land that other star. And so that's been the problem. And until you can get somebody that can impose their offensive will, which is that's what a star is in today's NBA.
Like Damian Lillard, like they were trying, exactly.
You try, I get it, but you got to get it. It's like this entire offseason, you do the same shit all over again. Donovan Mitchell, bro, you don't have the ammo anyways. So he never came onto the market, but either way, everybody else is going to outbid you. Then we hear about DeMar DeRozan. And again, this whole thing about, hey, Pat Riley will lay the rings out. Well, that's all.
DeMar DeRozan was never real. And that was the whole rumor market, and people have to be first and look at me and get clicks, and I've got a clown nose and a little squirting lapel. DeMar DeRozan, I spoke to an agent from the get-go. He is getting 3 at 60. He actually wound up getting more from Sacramento. That was thrown out there. But to the point you made on your open today of the Big O show, when you said They didn't need another 2-point scorer. They got Bam getting twos. They've got Terry Rozier getting twos. They have Jimmy getting twos. They still had Tyler getting too many twos. Oh my God, the paint would have been so packed. You could have just watched the painted area in Heat games on offense because no one else is scoring anywhere. Yes, adding talent would have helped the Heat, but it has to be the right talent. The reason they went hard in recent years for Lillard, 3-point shooter, for Durant, 3-point shooter, even Donovan Mitchell, they couldn't have gotten him, but 3-point shooter. This team needs spacing. Even yesterday, we watched Kalel Ware. He looked really good in Summer League. Let's have some perspective. So did Earl Barron, but he's another 2-point scorer. You can't trade twos for threes and win in the NBA in 2024.
But my point is, you keep getting into talking about this or getting into these things when you're never going to be able to win the game of poker because you just don't have the ammo. And now we hear Lauri Markkanen. Give me a fucking break, dude. You got no shot at getting him.
At least he would fit.
I know he would fit, and all the other guys would fit too. But you have no ammunition. So why do we keep doing this? Because all you are is a huge failure every single time. Unless Dwayne Wade is recruiting the player, you have no shot at getting anybody right now.
You know what? This sort of comes down to what I equate to parental pride. And I'll give you an example. We know the Heat overstayed to a degree Tyler Hero as their prime asset. And you know that's gotten nowhere over the years. And I'm going to give you an example. I have great pride in my son. You have great pride in your daughter. But when the valedictorian goes to Harvard instead, we kind of understand the kid had better grades and he's a better player. So Pat Riley is sitting there as maybe a proud, sort of guy who's developed Tyler Hero, but that doesn't get you in the door. Draft picks do. An all-star does. Bam would, but they don't want to make that move. So you're limited in what you can offer. The old days of the son of a bitch forcing his way out have ended. Dame Lillard couldn't do it. Donovan Mitchell didn't even try to do it. It's a different era. We knew LeBron was leaving Dan Gilbert because you couldn't stand him the first time around in 2010. We knew Chris Bosh was leaving Toronto because it was in Toronto. And like he said, they had the bad, cable. Right. He said they had the bad cable. So we knew he was leaving. That's the difference. Now it's just not the case anymore. Money talks. Teams are limited. You have to develop the right players. You have to draft the right players. And this is why I take exception to those who say the Heat have lost their fastball. Look at their last 3 drafts. Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kalel Ware. That's how you do it. All the players we've spoken about, from Donovan Mitchell to Damian Lillard to even Lauri Markkanen, they came on as draft picks. They developed. They became something. The Heat have had 3 very good drafts. Let's give them credit. And maybe, Big O, a year or 2 from now, you're going, okay, the Heat have Jaquez to offer. They have Jovic to offer. They have Ware to offer. Damn, the Heat has finally the type of collateral that they thought they had with Tyler Hero.
I'm sorry, who's the one that wants to take a step back and just develop players and develop a core? I think it's me. I'm the one that wants to stop with the stupid star chasing, that you can't get any of these stars. You have no ammunition. So stop with the stupidity already. Stop Bro, the most blind-ass fan base that exists in South Florida is the Miami Heat. They are the most delusional fan base I have ever seen in my life. And they think that the last 5 years were actually something legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
What was legitimate is that Spo is a freaking monster and that Butler played his ass off. But outside of that, you had a ton of luck while you ended up in the NBA Finals.
Okay.
This isn't the big 3. This isn't Shaq and Wade running their way to the finals. Or the year before that when they got injured, that they were really monstrous and ready to make a big impact.
You know what I will say about this, Big O? This is still a team that can play competitive ball and play interesting ball with Jimmy Butler and Bam while also developing. So you can tell me during the season when we're doing our accurate Pembroke Pines reports, if the Heat are playing Thomas Bryant ahead of Kalel Ware, I have an issue. If the Heat are playing Kevin Love ahead of Nikola Jovic, I have an issue. But if the Heat are winning with Jimmy and Bam and also developing Ware and Jaquez and Jovic, beautiful. You can have it both ways, not as a championship contender, but also not as we're going to be crap and go to the lottery team. There can be a middle ground as long as you don't overlook your pipeline. I don't think the Heat will. I think they've learned their lesson. The reason teams like Orlando is on the come and on the move is because they developed Wagner and Banchero and Jonathan Isaac and the young players. The Heat can do that as well.
Those are high picks, but since they are drafting now, that's why you trade Butler for a bunch of first rounders, because now you can actually draft and develop. So that would also help out, but it is what it is. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel? Because I know you got to go.
You know what? I did ask Ira today on all the Heat developmental players, and is there problematic that they develop them and they leave? And that's just sort of part of the price you pay. So get a good couple of years out of Vincent, out of Strus, out of Martin, and then you move on. You don't overpay in that situation. And I had my recap of last night's game in the California Classic in San Francisco. Khalil Ware might not be the bomb, but I know this. He's more than Hassan Whiteside. And so far, he checked that box, and now I can move forward. Good pick, intriguing. Wait till Bam and Kevin Love and Eric Spoelstra get their hands on the kid. He's going to be a contributor this year. Perhaps not a starter, but someone who can make the Miami Heat better. And you know what? When you're out of the lottery and you draft like that, that's just fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And by the way, I like what I saw from the Stevens kid too.
I know, right? I spoke to him after the game. Isaiah Stevens, undrafted 5-year point guard, Colorado State. Hey, development a project, go up to Sioux Falls, come back down. Maybe he'll be the next Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, he looked confident the way he played. I really like what I
Absolutely.
saw. On Twitter at Ira Heatbeat, and make sure you subscribe to the Sun Sentinel. Ira, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Next week, more Summer League, baby. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman. You won't get another host to talk about Anthony Carter with what happened with Caleb. You won't get that. That's because we're old. We've been around. So we can talk about things that happened 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Perspective, baby. Perspective. We can give you that. You don't get that everywhere. But, it is what it is. Acura Pembroke Pines, you can't get that service everywhere. Oh, Mike Chan, Jordan Ferber, they take care of their Acura customers like no one else. And right now, the 16th anniversary sale is going on. You got to go see Larry Schlossberg. He is there, baby, leading the way. They are the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. They are kicking some serious ass. And right now, 3.9% financing for 60 months. The new Integra right now, 2024, $319. The RDX, $419 a month. Get on down there. Tell them that Big O sent you. Check out the ILX. I mean, some amazing vehicles at Craig Zinn's. Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.